We're live. So good night, YouTube family. Hope everything is all right. We have seen the recent news in times, the news in recent times, and tonight I have three special guests with me, and we'll be discussing topics ranging from insurance, will, and we also be discussing like the recent financial fraud. We can give our thoughts and comments, and we look at the US stock market and the Jamaican stock market, and we are open to questions. So feel free to leave a question in the chat section. But first, we're gonna have the insurance section, and tonight we have Miss Rashida Blake. She will give us a rundown and an introduction of insurance. So I want you to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, good night, everyone. So my name is Rashida Blake. First and foremost,
Not hearing your mic.
You're not hearing me?
We're hearing you clearly. I'm hearing you clearly.
No, I'm not on mute.
No, you're not. I can hear you.
We're not. You're mute. You're mute.
Lance, I can hear you as well too. Well, Rashida's no muted, but
Rashida, you're mute.
Just mute me a while ago, but I was unmuted.
okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So let me go again.
Yes.
Good night, everyone. So first and foremost, my name is Rashida Blake, and I am an insurance and financial advisor at Scotia Jamaica Life Insurance Company, which is a subsidiary of Scotiabank. A few details about me. So I am a fun person. I'm a very fun person. I love sports. I like physical activities. I like to meditate, so I focus on mindfulness, and family oriented, right?
Yeah.
And being, I'm glad that I mentioned that I'm family oriented, which a lot of you out there probably very much is as well. The strong love for your family. And that's where life insurance comes in, right? It's all about that financial protection for your loved ones. So what is life insurance? Life insurance is an agreement between you, the insured, and the insurer, which is the institution that you're making the agreement with, that upon your death, a lump sum will be paid out to your loved ones to ensure that your financial well-being is maintained, even though you are no longer with them, right? And that's how you can look out for your family, even beyond the physical manifestation anymore. So it's very important that when you're looking at your financial foundation, life insurance planning is a key category for you to fulfill. So I'm going to touch on a few pointers, mainly 4 pointers. So what are the benefits of life insurance? First and foremost, peace of mind. If you're a breadwinner in your family and your income is covering all the expenses for everybody, it is very important that you have life insurance. You have to think about a situation where you're no longer with them, right? And your salary, your income no longer exists. how can you ensure that their lifestyle is maintained? How can you ensure that your children's educational savings is covered? Right? If you're taking care of your parents and they're sickly, how can you ensure that they'll be able to afford medication? And that's where life insurance comes in. So it is very important that you seek out life insurance to have adequate amount of insurance coverage to help out your loved ones when you're no longer here. But what is the adequate amount of life insurance coverage? Who can guess? Who knows?
Well, ask a question. So, isn't that subjective? That is subjective to each person, basically. So, it's subjective. I would assume that that is something subjective. So, for example, if my family need maybe 50 million to survive, I don't know. Maybe some policy like that are assets, you know? What's the ideal for each person?
Excellent point. So yes, it is quite subjective to an individual, right? And to have an average adequate life insurance coverage, we take a look at your salary, your gross salary for the year, right? Because your expenses are covered by your income that you're getting. So we take a look at your gross salary and we times it by 10, meaning that for 10 years on, your family members or loved ones, anyone who is your beneficiary, is able to still maintain the lifestyle they were living while you were alive, based on your gross salary that you had while you were alive that you were using to maintain them.
Yeah, precise. That's so reasonable. So, like in terms of like will and will, like I saw in the news the other day where this rapper named PNB Rock. So he's a young rapper and he was making millions of dollars, but he passed away, unfortunately. So, like they didn't have a will because they're young. So, what you say is the importance of a will for everyone?
Right. So, wonderful point. So you stated that he was a rapper. Of course, he had a high income coming in. He had acquired assets, right? A will is very important to have those assets divided among family members. Not only that, to ensure that family members are able to access those assets, right? And a will and life insurance goes hand in hand. In order to access assets, there's transfer of ownership. So family members will need to cover the expenses for transfer of ownership. If you had a life insurance, the life insurance would have provided immediate cash to the family members to help with those final expenses with the transfer of ownership.
Okay, I see you. Okay, so being that insurance, like how can they reach you after? As a matter of fact, I'll put your Instagram in the description so persons can reach out to you and like talk about those insurance policy. And also 'cause I guess it's subjective to each person. So I'll leave your contact and your Instagram in the description. So basically.
Yes. So just as Lance said, he leave my information, and I want everybody to know that be open to reach out to me, to contact me, so that I can advise you and ensure that your category in your financial portfolio for life insurance will be fulfilled. Right? We have a number of insurance products ranging from whole life to universal life. So it's not just life insurance, it's life insurance with investment, life insurance with fixed interest savings, life insurance with critical illness and accidental death and dismemberment. So we have a range of products that, as you said, very subjective. So we look at your needs, we look at your wants, we look at how you want to ensure that your loved ones are protected. And we offer a solution that is beneficial for you.
Okay, all right. Definitely. So I'll definitely do that. On the chat we're gonna have Chike. Um,
We might have
so
lost
Chi,
one person, but anyway.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Hold on.
So Chike, you can introduce yourself to the audience also.
All right, well, good night, everyone, again. And Lance, thanks again for having me. I think this is the second time I'm on
Yeah.
with you. So I am a application engineer by day, and in my spare time, any other and night, and any other time that I'm not doing that, I am a investor in terms of long-term investor. And I also dabble in understanding other methodologies of investing with respect to short and long-term investing, but my preference is long-term investing. And I have a keen interest in global investing, not just investing in one jurisdiction in terms of being in Jamaica, but investing all over the world in different levels of securities per se. I also hold a certification from the Jamaica Stock Exchange for securities in terms of being trained to understand them. And when we talk about securities, we're not just talking about stock, which is equity. We're talking about other things such as bonds, repurchase agreements, certificates of deposits, etc. And I did that personally for myself. It's not investing for me is a passion. I don't want it to turn into a means of employment. So pretty much, that's how I try to keep that separate in that how I invest is because of my passion, because of my hunger for knowledge. And as Rashida was speaking before, insurance is one part, life insurance is very big. Understanding the different levels of ways that you can invest in your life in terms of ensuring that you have a nest egg or your family is protected, that's pretty much my goal of why I invest. So yes.
So investment is basically a lifestyle for you.
That is correct.
Yeah, so you just apply it to your daily life and you don't want to go into profession.
No. I've I've been asked before. I did have thoughts about it, but there is something that I carry that everybody has. So there's a thing that everyone should know about investing when you start. With the moment you go to a financial advisor, there is there's a question that is always asked. You need to find out your lifestyle, and you need to find out your lifestyle, and pretty much in terms of they go through what is called a risk profile for you of itself, right? And your risk profile basically tells you how much of an investor you would like to be in terms of, do you like risk? Are you conservative, etc.? And that is something that I am keen about because everybody's risk profile is different. And that's one of the challenges that's why I don't want to actually do it for anyone else but myself. Because at any time, persons you when in investing, you give an expectation as an advisor. When those expectations are not met, then persons can tend to be unreasonable at some points in times, or it might be, and it could be difficult for you if you're unable to explain exactly why this happened or so forth, or even more so if their particular time horizon for return comes down and they don't get that. You then have to go into explaining why that target wasn't met, and know what might be the new time horizon. So I prefer to be, I should say it in this way, in summary, I prefer to be responsible for myself instead of anybody else.
Okay, cool. Definitely. See where you have a solid you have solid reasoning ability and all of that.
Well, you have to have, I believe you have to have that when it comes to, well, you have to have solid reasoning ability for everything you do. But more so with investments, a lot of people have a notion that when you get into putting down your money, you upskill to do many things, right? You get a degree to gain your income, to gain an increase in income, etc. You should treat the same way how you do your job or you earn your income the same way for investing. It's not good enough to just simply say, you know what, I'm going to put my money in a bank account, in a savings account, and you're not aware of the return that it gives you. Or you set out to have a goal and you decide, oh, well, how is this goal going to be met? All right, I'm going to buy some stock.
Yeah.
And you don't follow the company that you're buying. You don't understand what the company does. You don't really keep up to date with the news. You're just being led along the way. You have to treat investment if you're dialed in about return, because that's why we invest. We invest for return, then you can't be hands off. And if you're going to be hands off, then it's always stated that you give somebody else who has that requisite knowledge to manage your money. But even with that situation, it's not in my opinion, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to basically just say, here's my money. Tell me what I want to get this back. And you tell me how it is. Things can happen. So like for me, every year I do reviews with my advisors and so forth for the different parts of investments that I have that make up, the portfolio, from life insurance to pension to everything. Regardless, it doesn't matter because things change. You have to recalibrate, you have to reconfigure. So you need to know at any point in time, and you don't have to do it every day. Some things don't require that. But to say that you're just completely hands off, and then when somebody asks you, where's this particular part of your portfolio performing, you go, I really don't know. I haven't checked in like the last 2-3 years. No, that's not acceptable. In my opinion, it's not acceptable to be that hands off with your investments, or where I should say where your money goes, or where you're putting your money.
Okay. So yeah, that's sound sounds very good. Regarding the recent news, I don't know if I hear the news. Yeah, everybody hear the news.
Everybody has. I've literally just really stayed away from it completely.
Yeah, and we don't really have to go in deep detail, but what you think about like the whole industry? I think the investment industry will be affected severely by this.
I can't say in my opinion of what that could be. I would want to hope that if Jamaica is to become fully, that mature investment market globally, the way how an S&P is for the United States, etc. Certain things just have to change. But the truth is, I would say it this way: one should treat investing as this, or should I say, treat the financial industry as this, as everything else in life. Everything has a cycle. Nothing is static. It's always changing.
Yeah.
You will have things in history. Jamaica is not this. This might have happened now for Jamaica, but it's not only Jamaica that this kind of situation happens. You have this situation happening in more developed markets. As a matter of fact, for those who might be focused right now primarily on Jamaica, and based on what has happened because of whom has been affected and how it has gone into the international sphere, you might have not recognized that the same situation is happening right again, once again, in the United States with respect to Bank of America, doing something which is equally just as fraudulent and wrong, which is basically money has gone missing from clients from Bank of America, and they're trying to sift that out. Something of a similar nature happened a few years back with Wells Fargo, when Wells Fargo, their entire they were creating accounts, and that was mandated by the higher up, authority in Wells Fargo management. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. Higher management, high level management, that they go in and meet targets. And the persons who were the sales reps realized, well, how will we meet these targets? Well, I'll open up a bunch of accounts and people's names, which is completely fraudulent, right? So it's about checks and balances. The thing I hope that comes out, well, I'm not hoping, I'm expecting to see come out from the industry here specifically is there's already regulation, there's policies, there's a requirement for compliance with certain with the financial industry on a whole. Each one of these companies, banks, investment houses, they report to certain regulatory bodies, right? Everybody, all of the banks and other financial institutions are actually to report to the Financial Services Commission, the FSC. And if you work in the industry, you are aware that you're required every year to understand the compliance requirements and your duty, your responsibility in the industry. So the company that you work for and the clients as well too, in terms of ensuring that certain things are reported when you see it, etc. and so forth. You have to do it every year. So what needs to come out of this, in my opinion, is a stronger oversight of where things are falling down with certain companies and a more hands-on approach to, I would say, you know, it's not nice to see a company get sanctioned, or it's not nice to see a company in the papers, you know, because of some perceived, if all the information as it is right now, all of the information is not out as yet. The investigations are literally in their infancy, just beginning and so forth, right? And what needs to be firmly dealt with is the narrative, because I have seen some stuff where, you know, people are just kind of running off, making claims unfounded, and that's really not what you want. That's not going to help the industry at all. So it is for the regulators to ensure that they have firm grasp of what is going on with the situation, and going forward to restore the trust of the clients, of the customers in the industry. Because if you understand how money moves around in the financial system, it starts with us. It's our savings, it's the income that we earn after we have paid off our bills, and we have some disposable income left back, actually discretionary income left back. Then we normally save that. We put that in a financial institution, in a bank, etc. And that money then circles around in the economy. It's lent out in loans, it's lent out in, you know, in that kind of stuff, in some kind of financial instrument that then comes back, generates interest for the bank, the organization. That's how shareholders get paid, and there's a cycle. Government gets their money from us via taxes, etc. If you understand how it works, then you recognize that you cannot have a breakdown of trust in the industry as a whole, because then everybody will be running to go back to the days of old, or should I say, how I've always heard it with our grandparents, that you keep your money under a mattress. And that's not safe either, because anything can happen at that point in time. God forbid, some can happen to your house, it burn down, rain, hurricane, etc. And what? All of the money just gets either destroyed in some kind of way. And even more so, it's not really working if it's under your mattress. And every single year, inflation happens, and you'll more than likely be losing the value of your money as well too. So keeping it out of the system is not also the smartest way to go about it. But in the grand scheme of things, but specifically for Jamaica right now, there is a firm grasp that needs to be taken for the industry to give back confidence, or give confidence not just to the local customer or client base, which is me, you, etc., but also to the international, because it has escalated so far, and we should have seen what's going on social media. So I stick to Twitter, and I stick specifically to news that is actually happening. So it's not really what somebody says, but what's coming from a media house. And it's confirmed already. This thing has gone from Bloomberg. That's one of my main areas of getting my financial news, right? Our news in general. I basically stick to knowing that many people will talk about things on CNN and so forth. But if you want to genuinely see if something really made a dent in the world globally, it's normally happening in the financial markets first. If something really didn't happen in the financial markets, it's really a blip. For us to have seen that hit Bloomberg, that's big. And that definitely needs now. It needed it before, but definitely needs it now. A firm grasp by the regulatory bodies, ensuring that not just locally but globally, the trust in the Jamaican financial system is maintained, is strong, and will be restored even stronger than before. And we've already seen certain chips start falling already. The head of the FSC has resigned as of today. And we will, as the days progress, the Minister of Finance will be he will be speaking more to the issue on Monday. He plans to speak to it on Monday. We've seen that for the FSC, there is a temporary takeover by persons from the aligned to the BOJ. They've taken over that they've taken over the FSC in terms of that running in as interim. So things are starting to move in place, that there is a clear view to restore confidence in the financial industry. If we want to look at it from that standpoint, to not be, oh, we need to make a run on our investments. Is it safe? Fraud can happen anywhere, flat out. Checks and balances are what keep fraud from occurring, right? We are the gatekeepers accordingly. For those who work in the financial industry, we are the gatekeepers, and we're supposed to understand our responsibilities accordingly. So henceforth, our responsibilities also come with oversight. Where there is a drop down in oversight, well, there might be a drop down in responsibility. So all that needs to happen now.
Something. You hearing me?
Yes, hearing you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
You hearing me? I have a problem with the mic. Seeing. So the question, Lance, is how the Usain Bolt saga will affect
Jamaica.
the financial system.
in
Yeah,
Jamaica.
that's basically like
Oh.
the trust in the market and all of that.
All right, what would I say about that still is, if you remember from day one in the 90s, there was a financial meltdown. You remember that?
FinSac.
FinSac, yeah.
FinSac.
So we have some banks closing and people almost lose their money out of the financial system. That's the banking system, deposits. So what the government at the time had to do was to borrow some money and repay those deposits. You get me?
Yeah.
And I think a FinSac can borrow the money from anyways. That's one of the reasons why Jamaica have so much debt in the first place. Right, this is Jamaica debt ballooned because the government would have to borrow money to repay people. But like how you talk about trust, because the fiat money is based on trust.
That's right.
If you understand how it run, the money we're in the banking system is a fraction of what we claim say in the economy. In other words, the money that is in the economy is like 5 to 10 times bigger than what is really created.
Physically
Exactly.
in the banking system.
It's really trust that is built on.
True.
No, Jamaican really have a problem from them time though with the banking system. A lot of people not invest because they don't really trust the system. And that is coming from the FinSac days. And up to today, remember FinSac not gone away yet, you know.
Well, we still can't get that report.
Exactly. And it's fresh in our people's mind still. People still have a problem with the banking system. So you said this will happen now. If you talk to people on the ground right now, a lot of people may try introduce to the stock market. You think we can go to them now? More come to me. Just see what happened. You tell them about the stock market, this and the stock market, just see what happened.
Well, let's take a step back with that, because that's very important, and there's a differentiation that needs to be made. Or I would like to personally make a differentiation. The entire thing is based on trust. But when you go into the actual stock market of itself, whether it be here in Jamaica or overseas globally, depending on how you're connected to the system, buying into a company, there's a risk. You actually own a piece of that company. Now, what you need to be concerned about, and that's what I said at the start of being an investor, is you need to be concerned about how the company is performing. So you can have a situation, let's go with the United States. The biggest thing that they had was Enron. When Enron executives basically were inflating everything about the financials for the company, and there was clear fraud that was going on. You can have that happen with companies, you can have that happen with the financial system. But the thing about buying a stock is you buy and you hold a piece of the company. Nobody can take that away from you. So let's put it this way. Once the transaction is done, you get the information showing that you own that particular stock. Specifically for Jamaica Security, JCSD, right? The Jamaica Central Securities Deposit. You can go down there. We don't do that really anymore, but back in the day, you actually got a certificate, right?
Yeah.
A physical certificate. Now that we have gone online and there is what is known as the JTrader Pro, which is the trading platform. Not every broker in Jamaica is on that platform in terms of they are connected physically where you log into JTrader. But for those brokers who are connected to JTrader, and this is where I stand about buying stock, I am very adamant that I believe that I need to be connected to the system, that if the entire system goes down, not only am I out, everybody's out, right? So if I want to buy a stock, I want to trade, I want to do anything, I need to be connected directly to the system. For Jamaica, your direct connection is JTrader. Other brokers offer their version of a platform for buying a stock, but it's not direct and it's connected to JTrader, but they are what you call middleware. Their platform is a middleware, basically. I still like, and some of them work really great, but I still like the idea that I always like to be connected directly to my money. So for stock,
what are you saying though?
that stock,
Yeah.
in terms of how stock works,
Yeah.
it's not the same. Buying into a company, you are a holder of a share of that company. And whether it be here in Jamaica or in the United States, etc., there is physical proof that you can go down and get the information that you own this company.
But
no,
I understand that, but
there is a difference, and I'm getting to what I'm about to say. There is a difference with that part and other financial instrument, or should I say maybe a bank account. You might be getting a statement, but you get a statement. You don't genuinely know, and I don't want to put it that way. So let me not say it that way. But the statement is supposed to depict the accuracy of the money that is in that account. But if something is ever wrong with the system calculating it, so for instance, suppose you're supposed to get interest on your money that is in there. So you have $100,000 in the account, and you're supposed to be getting 5% interest every single year, right? If the system calculates it wrong, you might have gone in expecting that to see your 5% interest for the end of the year on 100,000. You don't see it. You're gonna want to know where my money gone. That's not how a stock works. A stock, when you buy the stock at X price. You own the stock. You can walk around and you can decide, say, you're gonna sell that stock, and you just go on the platform and you sell the stock. Or the way how it works in Jamaica is you call the broker, because you can still do that. You call the broker and tell the broker I want to sell the stock. And you're going to have to basically sell that stock at whatever price it's going for on that particular day. Most of the time, you would be hoping to sell the stock for a higher price. Or if you're holding the stock for long term and the company is paying a dividend, you get a check. You actually get a physical check. Now, that is another safeguard, if you want to look at it that way, of how you know you actually own a piece of the company. Because if the company declares a dividend that says it's supposed to be paid in the next 3 months, and you have given what you're required to do when you open up a brokerage account to buy a stock, to buy stocks, you are supposed to provide all of your information in terms of where you live and where those dividends are supposed to be paid. So for instance, you own, let's use one that recently paid at I think I saw it today. I think it was Seprod is supposed to pay, or Courier is one of them. But when they're supposed to pay, if you don't get that check, because you know how you put down you want the money in a physical check, and they must mail it to your address.
Yeah.
There's a payout date. The post mails it out. It mail. You check 1 week from now, and you don't see your what they call pressure sealed JCSD check from the company, you can march down to the Jamaica Stock Exchange, or actually the JCSD, and say, hey, I I'm a shareholder of this company. I have not received my check and 2 weeks has passed. What's going on? And what happens then is they go, you are? Can I get your identification? They're going to look on it and then they're going to go and they're going to check the records to see that you own the stock. When it is that it shows that you don't own the stock, this is the part where you must take responsibility as well too. When you buy the stock, there is on JTrader, you can get a statement. There's a statement section. You do your statement and you show that the stock is owned, that you didn't sell it. They're supposed to check, they're supposed to have the record. It's a different thing with something else that you're buying to. So for instance, and I don't want to specifically label a part of the financial industry, but all of the other things are built on that level of trust that when you put your money into some other financial instrument, unless you're getting some physical report at that point in time constantly, you are trusting the system to say, and you're trusting somebody else, by the way, to manage your money. Buying a stock is you actually managing your own money. When you buy a stock, you're actually buying into with your own oversight of the company, because it's you gonna have to buy it and you gonna have to sell it. Let
me try to understand what you say. Is it that you're saying buying stocks
has more security than
banks? That's what you're saying.
Than other financial instruments. That's my opinion.
I agree with you. I wouldn't totally agree with you.
All right. What I have to say. All right. Regarding the whole market, what I realize is that based off the news, basically the person sell and liquidate the client stocks.
Yeah.
So if somebody come in and say, sell 100 shares of Grace, the person will liquidate at 150. So that's all the persons are able to like basically defraud the customers. So anyway you check it, trust really have to be built, and you have to be the checks and balance. And I believe the insurance, like what is in the United States, the IC, where
SEC.
Yeah.
Securities
So
Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get up to $500,000. You can get up to 500,000 when things when money is missing from a customer account. So I think in Jamaica we need that can help to reestablish trust.
So we do have that for banks partially. You have for banks in the most recent or few budgets back. Banks, if a bank was to go under, a person is able to get back from that, well, not from the bank, but from the JDIC, which is the Jamaica Deposits Insurance. Well, I'm forgetting the acronym now, but it's JDIC. You get up to $1.2 million. No, it was 1.2 specifically, 1.2 million Jamaican dollars.
Yeah.
It was 600,000 and it's doubled, right?
Yeah.
So there is a fraction of a reprieve, because now, depending on how much money you have in the bank account when the bank goes belly up, bankrupt, and has to pay and tries to pay out. If you have $10 million inside there, well, that's a significant loss. But at least it's some kind of thing. Unfortunately, though, and that's that's one of the things I hope to see possibly come out from this as well too. That the investment industry, sorry. Now us will also have that kind of safeguard that is put in place. However, though, again, as I said from the start, I'm sorry, but if I have $20 million, getting back just 1 million out of that, yes, I'm thankful that I got back something, but there's no reprieve that can still, because if that was particularly my pension that I was plugging inside there and it's now gone, I say to everyone who's listening again, this is why it's not acceptable for you to be hands off with what you invest in or where you put your money. You should be checking. But the thing is, with respect to this particular situation that is transpiring right now, people were actually checking. They were being given statements and so forth.
Exactly.
And the word you want to use now is the veracity of the statements in terms of them being true and factual or fraudulent. Now, what happens there is, again, it comes back to speaking to the trust of the system. However, though, I come back to stocks again. I don't have to worry about a financial statement. If somebody says, I like that you use 100 shares, Lance. If I told my broker to sell 100 shares in Separate that I own, I don't have to depend on my broker's word of mouth or trust to say that it was done correctly. I have the checks and balances
Yes.
to go to the JCSD themselves and check with them that it has been done, and I can find out from them what my portfolio holdings is. Why is that so? It's because all of the transactions that happen with respect to the buying and selling of stocks on the market, that record of what is going on is held at the JCSD. So your broker has one thing, and yeah, your broker can go on with something, God forbid, we hope not. But in the case of SSL, if it comes down to finding out that stocks are being sold, your broker is one part, but
Yeah.
you have a check and balance by being able to go to the JCSD. Now, let me put it this way: what check and balance do you have for the other instruments that the company is selling? So, for instance, the company says, "All right, we're going to allow you to invest in our unit trust." If SSL was doing one, but who following that up? Who do you go to validate other than them themselves? So again, that's what I really wanted to get at, O'Neil.
Okay.
There is a secondary in place that I can categorically validate that I still own this piece. And if I don't see it there, knowing that I still own it because I never sent that information, I never did that on the platform, then it's easy. It's an open shot case that I can show. Yo, they've been selling my stock and not telling me. Where's my money?
Yeah,
That's a
you're
great
right.
point.
You're-
And
you're
I think
right,
before
Alex.
Blue Card, I'm gonna make a talk. Are you
Yeah.
gonna talk after? We're gonna make a quick point. So I think that what you're saying is good because we need personal checks and balance. So I never looked at it that way. I never even used to normally check the website, but come to think of it, that's what I will be doing in the future.
You must.
Just to do just to check to make sure what I'm getting from the broker is the same. So that's a good point that you mentioned. But otherwise, I think maybe there's still gonna be some issues with trust. But Blue Collar, you can
Hello.
just make a point you're gonna make.
Yeah, man, well, you must be right, But the thing is, as the money get bigger, if you really have spent time to do let's say research on them things, that you really not gonna have the time to go do the check-in there.
All right.
As the
So
money get bigger, you don't have the time to do that.
okay,
You have to start
Here's-
trust people.
here's
But
the deal.
that may I say, see, when it relates to stocks, you have different risk that you can't mitigate against. For instance,
Sure.
to talk about the Enron, think about that. You're investing in a company when it exists in the first place. That's how risky stocks is. So, for instance, check this now. Suppose SSL was listed on the stock exchange.
Part of it was the further down SSLVC
Yeah.
was listed before.
But the thing, yeah, so you can see the risk that you would be taking, because me believe this company will be falling up very soon. I swear, I feel like them are going to fall it up and pay back the people who forget pay back. Or
That's
that's
what
what I
was
think
left.
should be done.
And that's
You see,
what more than
So
likely.
if SSL was listed and you invest in a SSL, you would have feel safe like you have stocks, but you really not have not because of what they are doing. This
So-
risk again is a different type of risk, but you really it's based on trust. You get me?
I agree, but I inject again. Nothing in investing so far I have found out, at least and specifically with investing in equity, which is stock, I have found that nothing happens overnight.
True.
You can see something developing if you are dialed in. And the way how we have a host of information at our fingertips that we didn't have back in the day when Enron happened, right? You used to have to go and sit down and get the report that was printed out by them and then try and verify that. No, at the click of a button and typing out some keystrokes, you can find out exactly what your company is doing. You can find out when the chairman cut, when the CFO decided to get sick, who traded, who sold, who did what. it's so quick now because access to information is so much quicker and so much fluid. With respect to stocks, I believe that the situation of, oh, a company being fraudulent or doing fraudulent activity, you can start seeing things. Why is that so as well too? Let's actually put it. A company themselves to pull off fraudulent activity, it means that they get audited every year. Whether you're on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, you on the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, you're part of S&P 500, even worse on the American stock exchanges, you have to go through the Securities Exchange Commission, which they don't play with auditing, right? In terms of what you have to disclose. So if you are, and this speaks to the investor that you need to be, you buy a stock, you buy a company, you buy a stake in them. Even if your portfolio starts to grow to X amount, it is not acceptable to completely cease it. You know, I saw something that looked like a blip in the news that said the CEO resigned. And you know that last time you remembered when you bought the company, the CEO was also the founder of the company. And now the CEO resigned. So hold on, who's responsible for the company in terms of who gets hurt now when the company doesn't do well? Because there's no longer the founder, right? The founder's gone. The founder was the CEO, and you just saw that he resigned, but you ignore it. If you see stuff like that, normally I find that normally when things happen in the market of in the stock market, is because people just ignore the signs that were coming down. They see it, or they think they have enough time to correct their situation of how they're dealing with it, and then things just happen, and then they forget, and next thing you know, the company bankrupt, and they're like, oh my God, I can't take out my money. Yeah, of course you can't sell something now that is bankrupt. The prices are, but you can check, you can see that normally you can see that there's a trajectory that has been developing,
but
that the price has
yeah,
been going down.
yeah, but most of them think that hindsight still after it happen. Even when I see it, it's about interpretation of data. Yo, I go on. What may I pray? SSL have a couple of companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. No, 2 companies I want them to have.
I can't remember the most. I can't remember what they were.
Them do the C2 something, the music something.
They originally started as C2W. In terms
Yeah.
of they bought C2W and then rebranded as SSLVC.
And then they start the private equity with it.
Right. Well, actually, no, SSLVC was public. So they did public. It was public.
No, it was a public company, but the operation of it was to buy into private equity.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And
So what here now? If you read any of them financial statement and look at the operation of some of the investment that what them that do, you can know there's something wrong. Me normally say to myself, like, it's almost like them that know what them do over there. I swear. When I look at the group of investment that company used to hold, and then how much them sell them out for, it's almost like them sell them out at a loss. Just the other day, when them sell it out to whatever company them sell it out to.
When SSLVC got sold off to MFS.
It's like them don't know what them do, I swear.
Well,
so it's happened now. It's not like it's connected, but I don't think it hit me by no surprise. You get me?
I'm not going to say that I genuinely can't speak to what I couldn't see, but I'm gonna say this much to just corroborate, like go with your point, that if I was looking at the financial statements, it's clearly there what they hold, what is a subsidiary for them, or what is literally they have just like a percentage, like a minority stake in, as they call it, right? And if I see things changing as a shareholder of the company, yeah, in truth, you start to ask questions, because again, as I said, the company is getting audited every year. There are 2 types of audits. There's unaudited, there are 2 types of financial statements.
Yeah.
Sorry, unaudited, which is the part that their internal audit might do, and then you have the audited one, which they have to go to an external auditor. And unless the external auditor is in cahoots with them, it's clear as day that when the external auditor sees something, they write a nice little note that says they cannot have, a level of trust in the information that is being presented to them by the company. And
Yeah.
that's the first biggest red flag. Like, listen, you see something like that where the audit says that we don't, and I'm trying to remember the term specifically that it said, but once they don't see that, like qualified and unqualified, right?
Yeah.
When they say that, listen, this thing is, whichever term it is, that's bad, you know that you have a problem. You should literally be starting to look for the exits until they sort out themselves, and maybe you can come back in. But you shouldn't keep your entire stake inside there anymore. If they were like a major company that you held, but again, that all comes down to, again, risk management of yourself. And O'Neil, the truth is this: you're right. As you gain a lot more money, as your portfolio grows much bigger, it's just like how companies have oversight. You need to also have oversight. The problem that happens is that two things beat people when they have a lot of money. Especially in the Caribbean, I would say this. They think to themselves, it's too expensive. That's the first part. But in most of the books, and then the second part is they think to themselves, I can still manage this. The reason I remember reading, there was one book that I read one time. Sorry, I'm forgetting it right now. Was it Millionaire Next Door? I think it was Think and Grow Rich. And it was talking about the three major pillars of persons who are wealthy in terms of how they invest. And this was specifically for any investment. They said the three things you need to have when your investments get to a point that, or even as a business owner, when that gets to a point where you recognize you can't manage it anymore, you're honest with yourself that you can't manage it anymore. Exactly. That's the first person you get. The first person you get is your accountant. The second person you get is your lawyer. And the third person you get is your financial advisor, right? And the book was very blunt about who's your financial advisor, because it was literally stating, listen, if somebody's coming to me to talk to me about them being a financial advisor and they've got all of these different letters and qualifications, if you cannot tell me openly how you have managed a particular portfolio, what has been the return, etc., how has it performed year on year? Some of those things you might think when I'm saying it comes from experience, but it's really just simple. A man come to you and say, hey, I can manage your $1 million for you, and I can give you basically 10% every single year. Yeah? How did you do that? What's your track record? Prove that to me. You can just hand you $1 million like that and that you're going to give me 10% every single year on that $1 million. No. Show me your track record. And the moment a person goes, well, you're going to just have to trust me. I don't have that track record. Really? No,
Yeah.
I'm not giving you my money. Come on, no. I'm not giving you my money. What track record do you have? Which is why you see a lot of people. I was having a discussion where a lot of times people throw caution to the wind, and you pile on because you see everybody getting in. The thing is, you also see people getting a return, and that's true. There is a return to be made on something just before the floor falls away. The unfortunate part is by the time you get in, you might be the one that is left when the floor falls away. And there you walk away with a bad taste in your mouth, right? At the end of the day, it comes back to the next part only, which is we are responsible for our money. Henceforth, we must do our due diligence. Of course, the situation with SSL is one where, by right, the persons would have done their due diligence. SSL is a licensed entity, right? It's one of the first ones that got their license as such. So a huge level of mistrust has been, tossed up right about now. And make no bones about it. I would expect, already from what I'm seeing, I would expect that the industry has to be reined in properly in terms of checks and balances, specifically with compliance. Because when you read the report, you see where things like oversight and compliance should have been the things that happen. You put out the audit look wrong. You tell the people, give me a report on this of why this audit is wrong in the next 10 days. They don't produce all of the information. You don't do something else. And this is not specifically to SSL, no. This is just in general.
Yeah, man.
You don't do something.
As I reach a point there, You see, as Jamaica get more sophisticated, that everybody I talk about stock market and this and that, and them want to add new instrument to the stock market, like for instance, them want to go short and all these things. My idea is that we not have the skill set not that out here. I think mostly the skill set not the FSC. I swear. I don't think them have the skill set for really probe into something like even this and catch it before time and nib it before it happen. So I'm kind of scared, of we wanting to add so much more instrument that you hear, like financial companies that talk about alternative instrument and all these things. Problem are in it. I swear. I'm afraid of it.
Well,
Because we know the skill set not there.
again, that comes down to, once again, your due diligence. There's something I normally work
But Alicia,
from.
we not have the skill set either. As like investors, we not think we have it.
How do you get skill set?
Information
But how do you
is-
get,
You
how
can
do you get skill
build the
set?
skill set though. That's the thing.
Jamaica,
I've
You
been
can build the
investing.
skill set.
My investment
Of course we
journey.
can.
No, but my
I'm
investment
here.
journey started in Jamaica. Started from Jamaica. I started officially investing from 2015. My first investment properly was pensions. Was my pension was a personal managed pension fund. And I didn't have any understanding about it. But what did I do? They presented a dossier of a portfolio dossier of what the fund was supposed to do. I didn't just take their word for it. I then started to go and research the company. It's been around for 100 years, etc. It has changed names and so forth. I looked on the audits, I looked on the financial reports, and I started to dial in my skill set, my thought process. I started green. There was nothing that I knew really about other than, you put money in a bank and you get some, and you're supposed to get some interest and so forth. It has been a journey of, we're in 2023 now, coming from 2015. There's a lot of reading that I have done and so forth. Again, nobody start out knowing everything that they wanted to do the first day that they did it. They learned it over time. There is no excuse for the same thing of money management, of your money management, that we don't have the skills. If you don't have the skill set, you can get the skill set. I take your point though, that the introduction of things, in my opinion, that are even more volatile, that have a higher level of risk, because personally for me, I know of shorting. I don't fully understand it. And I know that because I don't understand it that well, it's not something I plan to dabble in. I know of options. I do an options trading. I don't fully understand it. I am a straightforward investor. I buy a stock. I learn about the company. I learn about the financials. I follow the financials. I do my metrics according to that. And I buy and I sell units of the company. That's it. I keep it simple for my investing. When you start doing things like shorting, ask a person, you're gonna run in, oh, we're gonna have shorting. Do you understand shorting? Shorting is a promise to in its summary, is basically a promise to buy a company at its lower price because you believe it's gonna go down. That's normally what happens. And it's a promise to pay for the company at X price, but it's also a promise to pay for the company if the price goes in the reverse and starts to go up. So that thing is, and you notice it says a promise to pay. You're not actually getting the company, You're getting loaned the shares, okay, I'll loan you them or something like that. There's a whole lot of things that has to happen with certain things that want to be introduced. And being introduced, the good thing is that it's supposed to be shorting. It's supposed to be only introduced to the brokers at first. And I would assume they're sophisticated investors. But to let that go on the general market and retail of itself would be wow. It'd be interesting. And personally, I would tell anybody, if you want to really find out about charting, and if you have the stomach to handle that, it's very simple. Go and open up a trader account, a virtual trading account on the overseas platform, and then dabble in short, because all of it is there. You get a set of virtual money, and you can play around and see if you really have the stomach to deal with seeing that the stock goes the other way when you thought it was going to go down, and you are going to be able to make a nice profit when it on the way down, you were going to be able to buy it at this low price, and all of a sudden it shoot up 50% more, and now you're on the hook to buy it for 50% raise kind of thing. I mean, there are methods now that are available on you for everything that we are dabbling in even in our market that hasn't come as yet, that is in more sophisticated markets that you have access to, people who have built apps and so forth, that your skill set can be acquired. Or if you already have an understanding of it, it can be improved. So I don't take that part of saying that, oh, we don't have the skill set, we don't have it yet, but we have tools and things available that
that we don't have it any at all. Not that it cannot be developed, but in a day right now.
And I think I heard someone, I don't remember exactly who was, someone from the Jamaica Stock I don't remember who was speaking, but I think they said that they were bringing the short in, but they were bringing it to like the brokers first.
It was only coming to the brokers first.
And then after they will try to introduce it to more sophisticated investors. So I think that would be the way to go first. You just dip your one foot in the water first, see what happens after, and then you move forward. But first, as I said, we have to get some of the basic things right. But again, as I said, Chike, they are making, I think they will make the steps to put the market in the right position, because
I believe they will.
It doesn't look good on the country overall. But I believe that they will make the steps, just like now that we have the banking insurance. They'll more than likely look into the investment market. And for now, though, we can do our due diligence and all of that. So I think we pretty much cleared that part up. Anything you want to add, on you regarding the market?
Yeah, just as we talk about the skill set, most time when we read say the news, the business news, never good analysis we not even do at Jamaica. Straight up. Never good analysis. One time I read some overseas analysis, or the man them go deep into the thing them and use the figure for prove whatever they must say. Locally, we have a lot of opinions, but people are not able to prove whether or not them opinion makes sense.
Okay.
So them just keep running with it. When they study finance, them give you tools where you can prove things, Yeah. If you believe something, go out and prove it with figures. Locally, people just talk, and them talk anything, but to prove something, we are unable to do that because the skill set that they have done. Swear. And it's kind of frightening, I'm afraid.
Well, I agree with you partly, because sometimes I look at some quarterly reports and some financial statements, and to be honest, I don't have a full understanding of the business. So if I'm looking at a new company on the JC tomorrow, sometimes when you look at the quarterly statements, you don't see you just see a few lines. So while if you go on a company like Facebook, Tesla,
exactly,
you see
everything you need.
Well, hold on. That speaks to oversight, because again, I said it earlier, the Securities Exchange Commission, if anyone has looked on the financials of a company, that must report to the Securities Exchange Commission, that is on the stock exchanges.
Yeah.
You have a 10K, you have a 10Q, which is the quarterly, the 10K is the annual report, etc. And then you have a ton of connecting forms. If a person moves, if a person in a company that is a part of a company on the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, etc., sells even so much as one share, the amount of information that has to be provided on that is not just a simple thing like you see in the JSE, you see on the JSE, where you just see, oh, connected party just sold 10,000. No, you get the name of the person who sold it, etc., and it's a detailed piece of thing. If there's a change, material or otherwise, with the company in the United States, the Securities Exchange Commission has mandated there are sections that they are supposed to fill out, and when they don't fill those sections out, they get fined or something, or they get reprimanded. They don't play. That's one thing I recognize. So I remember when I did start learning about the US market, That was one of the first things one of the books taught me. It taught me how to read 10Ks and 10Qs and what I needed to look on, and also the supplementary connecting documents that were aligned to these different statements, and how to find the connecting information. And when you sit down, I remember I did a company in terms of my analysis on one. I was like, this is, if I thought Jamaica was tedious, this is just leaps and bounds ahead. The amount of things I went through just to read how it was outlined. There's structure, there's clear structure. Stuff like that needs to be clear. Like when you think about how our financial statements are presented for companies in Jamaica, it still have situations where you can't lift anything about that statement. It's printed badly, it look like it got twisted, thrown onto the copier, that kind of thing. We have gone about that. That don't happen in the United States. There's a format that you need to send. I don't think I've ever actually seen the company's financial statement unless it's on their website. There is a set format you need to upload everything to in the SEC, and that format is easily lifted into any platform, Yahoo Finance, ticker.com, or whatever it is that you're using, etc. Very easily, because there is a format that companies must adhere to when they're filing their financial statements. Jamaica needs to get there as well too, if we're supposed to be.
We need to get that stuff. And then what? Guess what? The Jamaica Stock Exchange just sell most of the information then.
That's an
That's a
issue.
problem again.
That's an
The
issue.
information what the market want, where over the US them that just dash it where everybody can pick it up. Jamaica Stock Exchange sell these info. So what you find happening? People who can afford to buy it, they will always be more informed than me and you. Problem again. So to me, I always say this: the stock market rigged, madam, locally.
No,
Information skewed.
well, I
Get
would
me?
say I challenge this part. Hold on, go back 1 second. On the US market as well too, you're unable to get records from companies for many years back. Even on Yahoo Finance, you have to pay when Yahoo Finance gives you only about 4 to 5 years, and then any further back, because normally
Yahoo Finance, you get more than that, man. Yahoo Finance give you 20 to 30 years.
you definitely
Sure.
have to pay for, yeah, man. You definitely have to pay
No,
for
man. I think
certain
I see that,
things.
man.
I have gone on companies where you got about 5-6 years, but anything after that, with respect to
Yahoo
it's
Finance.
there, but you have to pay for that particular section. You have to pay for the additional stuff.
Check right.
And then other companies that you use, like I use tradingview.com. I got the full information when I paid for it, and so forth. But they give you like 4 years of, normally the standard is 4 years of information, basically 4 or 5 years max information. Because
5
that's
years. No, man. I'm more than that, man.
no, it's 5 years. Is not really good enough to make a decision in terms of when you're entering into a company for 5 years. That's enough time that things have changed. Of course, on the Buffett way of doing things, he normally says, you're supposed to go no less than 10 years. Well, honestly, I challenge anybody, because I've done it. I challenge anybody to pick up and try to pull down 10 years of data and then format that. You're gonna be there for a while, right? But of course, O'Neill just spoke it. If you want a lot of data, you have to pay for it as well too, O'Neill, in the United States. So it's not simply a rigged thing. And I actually carried a thought process where,
But
the last part you said, hold on, the last part that was said, those who can pay for it will have access to it easier. And that's really where we're at, not just for Jamaica, but for in general with everything. You need to be keeping abreast of the information of the news. For the Jamaica market, being very honest, O'Neill, you can find a lot about a company without having to go into their financials, just by keeping abreast of the news of the company. As a matter of fact, there's a popular statement that says, you buy the rumor and you sell the news, right? So you might see something that is inside of the news that hasn't come true yet, but a person latch on to that. And they go, all right, the person said that next year, because people doing things. You more than likely ain't gonna remember that the company said, oh, we're gonna finish something in the next 6 months, right? So henceforth, it come up, you pass it, you read it, but you don't bookmark it. As an investor, especially if you're looking at the company, you would normally bookmark that and go, all right, Let me see how the market reacts to this particular piece of news. Whose side? There is a lag time, by the way, which is why I cannot agree that the market is rigged. There is a lag time that normally happens when news is given in Jamaica, where the market tends to respond. It's not immediate. I've seen this, whether it be junior market or main market. It's not immediate. It actually takes maybe 1 or 2 days. Worse yet, if it happened on a weekend, maybe it happened on a weekend, you might have enough time for the market to sift through and think about. But if it happens during the week, I've seen that happen where news come out and it takes two days before the market actually starts to react in terms of moving the price point of itself. So my suggestion to persons that are investing in Jamaica Stock Exchange, or sorry, I say Jamaican securities, Jamaican equity, sorry, is you do yourself a better service by just keeping abreast of information. And what is that? It is not reading the general section of the Observer or the Gleaner, and you can find that online as well too. It's being laser focused on the business sections of news, point blank. That's where it happens, right? Certain persons in the financial investment space, financial Twitter, they always give us big tips in the fact that they say on Friday, every Friday, if you're not aware, every Friday there is a section, the Jamaica Observer and the Gleaner, they have their financial sections that are put out, and they put out all of the different performing unit trusts and funds and so forth, how they're working. There's a section on the stocks and all the news. If you're going to tell me, say you have no access to the internet, you can go buy the paper.
All right. So I don't really think that's necessary. I just think that because information is there. I believe enough is there to make good decisions. And I think what I do though, I see Jamaica stuff is like when you look at the charting thing, no, I don't know if it's the charting he's looking at, but most platforms in Jamaica don't really have like good charting like in the US. So I don't know exactly
I think that they keep it basic with 3 types of charts, basically. You have the regular pricing chart, you have the candlestick, and then you have the OHLC, which is open, high, low, close chart. I in truth, I don't like that. I would prefer some more, but again, you also have to pay for that. You also have to be part of so, because even for me, when I invest overseas, TD Ameritrade is who I have, and I have to have an account.
Yeah.
You can't just, and TD Ameritrade's charts don't carry everything as well too as my access to TradingView that I have. So I mean, if you want more things, if you have to pay for it. A trader, if you want more signals, as they're called, and more indicators, you just have to pay for it. But honestly, let me be clear, I have been able to chart with the information from JSE in terms of a company. Those charts by itself, just taking those charts, looking at the chart of itself, expand it out. I agree with this. I don't like that it only have up to 1 year, right? Or when they click all, you can't properly see the,
but them just recently changed it, I just recently them changed it, We could get history of prices or something. I just since them remodel the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
And they want to sell the previous years. No. I find that an issue with the Jamaican market doing it, to be honest. But I don't necessarily need a chart to make a decision, because I can go back. You can find the price history, There's a section where you can see the price. You're just not going to get a chart. That's the thing. So
you get 1 year price, I think.
No, 1 year. Yeah. I mean more than 1 year.
No, it's not gone.
No, go more than 1 year now, Lance. So that we have them change it.
Yeah, it has changed. Yeah, it has.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's an issue with me. But I don't necessarily need the chart beyond that, because I can still find the price history, and then you can just look at the price. Because sometimes you have to look on the right to really value the company overall. Really, you have to match it with what you value the company. Right. But Chike, when you're saying that the Microsoft, you say you can't get more than 5 years in terms of what?
It was for details. So Yahoo Finance, I remembered when I was looking for certain companies, after 5 or 6 years, you had to pay for that part. So if you do a symbol lookup, you go right now.
Let me see.
Yes, you have a lot of information. But the moment you want historical data on a company, so I'm literally clicking on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
If you want the historical data for the particular company that goes, and there's a section that says historical data. You click on that and you want the historical data. What you have is you can get, let me see how far back this goes. I think max. I don't even know. I don't see how far back this really goes. But can I go back to 2000 and let's go
Yeah.
10 years. I'm gonna try to go back. So I'm gonna try to go. Let's see how far I can go back to. So I'm gonna try to go back to 2010 and see if they give me January of 2010. And that period, and I'm gonna click done.
Yeah. I believe what you're saying is true. I never
Right.
really look at it
No.
as a,
You have to pay for it. And that's just a
Yeah, it's true,
given.
it's
Yeah,
true,
that's just
Charlie.
a given. Most of these companies, but the thing is, you can find the information on the SEC. It's just that you have to do the work yourself. But
Yeah.
you want to get that information at your fingertips. You're only going to get four
Yeah,
four to
5 years
five
of
4 to 5 years maximum. Right. I'm
Yeah.
actually looking at an income statement for the company. It has the trailing 12 months, and then it just give me 3 years. That's basically it. It's only 3 years. Three
That's
years of
true.
information is there for the income statement. So balance sheet, balance sheet only carries 3. If I want more, I have to pay for that. And that's fine though. As I said, I personally believe, having done what I've done, unless you
Yeah.
genuinely are this real long-term investor, like you plan to hold the company for the next 10 years, you
Yeah.
don't need 10 years of data. A decision can genuinely be made off of 5 years of data maximum. There's a statement that goes, you work with as much data as you need to come to a decision. There is a point that after a while, more information ain't really helping you. You're
Yeah.
just going to be in analysis paralysis, as they call it. So pretty
Yeah.
much there.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I use Stock and Lock still. That's a website that I use. And I mean, I didn't notice, Stock and Lock, but I pay for it. I get normally, you can get 20 years, I think. You can
Once
get
you
it.
pay for it, you get a set number of years that is more than 5. That's a fact. So you're more than likely gonna get like 10, and then if you go up, you get like 20 and so forth. But in all honesty, as an investor, you need to know how much data you really need to have. Personally, for me, as I said, I don't need more than 5 years. It's nice to have it. But when I start to try
Yeah.
and chart more than 5 years of data, I mean, unless
Yeah,
I'm looking for a trend, I can see where it's going in 5 years. And 10 years, yeah, okay. I can then genuinely see. But if you're looking at a 10-year chart, you're more likely looking at a mature company. You're not looking at some company that only have like 5 years of thing. Yeah, you certainly can be looking at a startup. One. So henceforth, hey,
Yeah.
So this is why data is very important locally,
yes,
It's the
yes.
difference between the both markets. Because we don't have the oversight out here, we need data to do it yourself. So that's the difference. And guess when I look even at the media and the news that is coming out about companies, these news are biased. It not give a full picture of any company because the reporters know the management and the management are friend. I saw him get the news.
Well, I won't go that far to say that, but
wait the 1 minute. So if him ever write any bad report, he's not gonna get any more information.
well,
Locally, me talking. That's why I'm not telling the game real in a level locally.
The thing is,
yeah.
So I will say this. I do have a gross. There's a part that I have to put in and inject that I do have a gross with how reports are presented to the market from all of the houses. It don't matter who it is. I realize there's a set standard. For me personally, I think I don't like that because I'm a deep diver. Lance knows this. I deep dive into my analysis. I go way further than just. There's a surface level that you get from most of the houses.
Exactly.
You find out, you hear the points that they speak to mostly gross margin, this or net profit, that.
Yeah.
But when you dig, but my thing I normally always ask when I look at a company is, yeah, that's the stuff that comes out of an income statement. I want to know, is the company actually viable past that? How much cash do they have? That's not being presented. That comes from a cash flow statement. Present me how their working capital is, etc. and so forth. I don't get those kind of things in a report. And even still, I'm being very honest, when I look on it, I don't even get it in the reports. I don't even see that level of detail come out in the reports for when a company brokerage house even has a company that they have vested interest in. Like when they put out, they're gonna put out the report of all of the companies, and they're gonna put, this is the stock price, this is the close price, this is the PE, this is whatever, those things that people understand. And then they're gonna have their picks of itself. When you look on their picks are also not as detailed as I believe it should be. Like, don't just tell me the company.
Let me ask you this though. You think the picks and the report that they are putting out is the same information that they use to invest?
I don't know. I can't say that. And the truth is,
But I'm asking you, just your thinking.
From my understanding, I take a pick that a company gives out when they put that disclaimer out with a grain of salt. No, if it look favorable to me, that's me as an investor. I know that I am not accepting gross margins, because here's the thing. There are companies that, and for those who trying to understand, would need to understand what a gross margin is. Basically, it's a percentage of the performance of gross profit. And gross profit is everything that happens right after the company generates revenue and you minus the cost of generating that revenue, right? That's gross profit. There is so much more that happens after that. Like, you have all of the people that you have to pay, which falls into salaries, general and administrative expenses. You got taxes to pay. You've got so much stuff. Me understanding, just looking at a gross profit number, I only have a fraction of the information to run off and go, yo, this company is great, because I see that they made more gross profit this year. Then when I look down, I always ask myself, how do I, as an investor, get paid from the company? And this is something very important to recognize. When you read the prospectus of the company that you bought into, it normally says you as the shareholder are getting paid from net profit. You know, run off happy that the company has made 100% in gross profit, and didn't check to find out that when everything was tallied up and all of the expenses and the lines were removed and so forth, the net profit that they actually made was a net loss. You have nothing to get. And this is why share investors, stock investors need to be educated. That's what and technically this should have been done by the industry, but now you see you have Finance Twitter and so forth. You have so many different mediums. This what Lance is doing here is one of those mediums to educate investors, that it just don't stop at the line items that you see in the news and so forth. You will have to dig down deeper, because you're only getting part of the information anyway. And as you rightfully said, O'Neill, I will take your point that you're getting the information that is going to be eye-catching, right? Yeah. And is not the full, complete picture. Next, you go buy based off of that incomplete picture, and the thing goes sideways. And wondering why you can't sell your stock, because you were expecting that the price would jump up and the price go in the next direction. So, yeah.
Do you think Jamaican investors would pay for like something like that? Because there are many platforms on the US.
They are paying for that. They are paying for that, right? They are paying for that right now. I don't want to put names out, but they're different apps, websites that have been created coming about from the financial Twitter movement. I remember when we got moving, like actually came about. We have, where we've come from now, there are some sites that are being run that provide a wealth of information that you have to pay for, right? You can put your portfolio in there. You only get certain news if you pay for it, right? It's already happening. There are 3 that I can name that I know about. I mean, as a matter of fact, no, I'm going to name them, because this is educational. You have My Money JA is one of the most popular ones. You have JSE Investor, and you have GSA app. That's 3 that I am aware of. And JSE Investor of itself. So My Money JA basically focuses primarily on our local market, right? And if you want certain types of news about it, you have to pay for that. JSE Investor actually focuses not just on Jamaica, but the Caribbean on a whole. And if you want further information going back on a particular company, the financial statements and stuff like that, you have to pay for it. So people are paying. I remember when I tested out JSE Investor in its infancy, when it just
JC
started.
investor.
JSE Investor. I tested it out in its infancy when it was started. I actually had dialogue with with one of the developers, and they were going back and forth with pricing. They were throwing out the same question you just asked. Do you think that people would pay for this? And I'm like, at that point in time, the market was just no retail, I should say. The retail market was no really coming alive online, and people were getting into, we can make money from buying into the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Yeah, look at that platform. I don't know if I'm hearing properly, but I know My Money JA and JSA. Yesterday, the other one here, JSE
Investor.
Oh, that one. All right, I never test that one out. But if I want to see from the two platforms that I tried, it doesn't give me enough information to make a decision. I don't know. To me, I don't know. It doesn't give me enough information to make a decision from those platforms. So I think there could be a better platform.
Of course it can be. Again, at the end of the day,
it come right back to what I tell you, the skill set not really there locally. I say who have the skill set, them in at the big bank, them a work, and them now put out the info to the market. Trust me. Wait, now 1 minute. I say who have the skill set, them out the BOG at work, and them out there in some big company at work. And as I asked the question, do you think the information where the brokerage houses are putting out are the same information them use to invest? No, them not gonna give them real info. A surface level info them are put out. When they are gonna spend their money and invest in a company, them do the deep dive. That's why them employ people with the skill set. Them not gonna give with the info, madam. Trust me.
Well,
to be honest, the brokers, yes, they have an advantage in Jamaica because you don't have many platforms that give detail or information you're searching for. But here's the thing that goes now. But remember one thing, the brokers have like Bloomberg Terminal, and you have more.
Thank you.
You have more.
Yes.
They have teams and all of that. But at the end of the day, if the market, you have to really decide what strategy work in the Jamaican market, because they can still make money in the market even if the market is rigged. Some Americans believe the US stock market is rigged.
That too.
You know that. But here's the problem with their market. It's more of a market manipulation. So you have like some of the lawmakers.
They invest, but we don't need to go that far. You have multiple ways to make money in the US stock market. In doing things like shorting and options, you have the ability to buy companies on loan. Or you don't even buy the company. You literally just promise to buy the company and buy such. Jamaica doesn't have that. You literally have to buy the company. You don't get up and say, oh, I promise to pay for the company later on, but then something goes sideways and you go, oh, I'm not gonna buy it no more. No, you actually, in order to trade a security, a equity security in Jamaica, either you're going through the broker physically and calling somebody, and you have to put money up before it's up front, or you're doing it yourself, and you still have to put money up front by funding in the account, because if the account has no money, if JTrader has no money in your account, you can't buy the stock. So the United States, and I see that with TD Ameritrade, you have so many more areas to basically, because that's what they're built on. You can be like, hey, I am going to take a margin loan, right? You have access to margin loans and all that kind of stuff. That, okay, I don't actually have the money right now, but I can get it like that. Margin loans are not something that is free and readily available, or should I say it's spoken about, I know, in Jamaica, but I don't know that everybody's running to do margin loans.
I think there's some form of margin loan here, because
no, there are margin loans here, companies offer it, Mayberry offers it, etc.
Access it most of the time,
but it's about accessibility of how you accessible.
Exactly.
It's not that, and then again too, you also have to put up some kind of collateral. Normally that collateral is your best stock. Your best stock is frozen, right? You can't sell it, or you can't get the money back by some stock that is held by the institution you are trying to get the margin out from. There are the different stipulations that are there.
Yeah.
So I say this to say, I know people coming into the market might think that it genuinely, and I'm not going to lie, there's a point in time in my journey that I did think, specifically not for Jamaica, but for the overseas markets, yo, this thing is rigged. The truth is, or should I say, you're playing with a stacked deck of cards, like the house always knows how to win. Over time, I just learned that if you have a strategy and you keep to your strategy, you don't step outside of your circle of what they call competence and your circle of confidence until you actually test and try and learn this and put some skin in the game that you're willing to lose or willing to bet at that point in time, you will find out that money can be made easily. And it's not a rigged thing. It's not a situation where, all right, let's look on it. Let's look at the situation of, you will call this rigging, but this is market. This is just actual market, general market movement or market occurrence. You remember the situation with GameStop? I think everybody who looks on the American market would remember the GameStop, where that short, the term was called short squeeze, and it was simple. It was a straightforward, simple thing. One man, not one man, it was a group, but one person particularly apparently knew the industry. He formerly worked in the industry, gets on a forum and decides, yo, I see where this particular set of this brokerage house was trying to tank the company because you make money off of shorting. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna band together a bunch of people. At least that's how I understood it. It's like, I'm gonna band together a bunch of people who actually own the stock now. They physically own the stock and decide, yo, we're not selling. We don't care, but we know exactly. I found out that particular company have on their books a promise to short this company at X price. But I know that if nobody is going to be selling to them and the price goes the other way, I put them in a squeeze that they have to pay for it.
And
that's
the price
what
go
happened.
up to.
And the price flew up to the point where you saw this brokerage house platforms lock down and stop people from trading GameStop anymore, because guess what? I'm trying to remember the particular term of market, of just how the market functionality stepped in. People saw where they basically could make a money, and the man them step in, and they were willing to pay for the company. Or the situation just happened that the man them say, yo, no matter what happens, don't sell your shares on the market for this price, sell it for higher. They will force these people to make sure to see that they cannot be trading with these companies like if it's somewhere to just get, because the statement was, these companies have people behind them that work for them. If you tank the stock price, you are killing the company. And the man then put a couple of financial houses out of business.
So is that a rigged situation you're talking about?
Well, it is technically up. It was termed as a rigged situation only when the SEC went after the guy and found out that he worked for one of the financial institutions previously. So, however, what happened about the short squeeze function is actually a part of market functionality. So nothing was a rig there, so.
Yeah, I say this. When I say rig still enough, I know why you think. I say the market are moving certain way all the time.
Somebody said.
When I say rig, I just really mean the information is not level. It's not a level playing field when it comes onto the info. So here what? You see if that guy where you talk about never did work in a certain place and see information when can rally up some people to get the thing moving a different way, you know a lot of people that get burned from the opposite side.
Well, I can break something to you.
So these institutional people have far more information than the average Joe.
You've gone too far though. In my opinion, when I started learning, I can carry it to you, then you're gonna have a problem because we don't have to go to the institutional people. First and foremost, when you buy a company, you have to accept and realize that the persons running the company have inside information. You realize that, right? But what holds them from basically not acting on it is that we have checks and balances that they're supposed to not trade. They're not supposed to make certain trades
We're
within set
supposed to have the
periods.
checks and balance.
No,
We're
we do have it.
supposed to have it.
No, we do it. We still have it. That they're
No,
not.
we just
that
talked
they're-
about that a while ago. We said that the FSC not have no teeth and the problem will just exist. So
Well-
here, with overseas market, I understand that, but I really talk locally, where we not have the check and balance and we not have the oversight. That's where I have the problem. you know.
And it's not, I don't think it's necessary that we don't have it. It's just probably the enforcement of it are
Yeah,
like,
then which
you
is
really-
the enforcement? Because here what now? Remember, it's a very small market, you know. Everybody know everybody, you know. You
Exactly.
have to remember that too, you know. So it's because everybody know everybody. People who work at FSC know the man will control whatever brokerage firm, you know. You have to be
Yeah.
careful of that, and them go out, go drink and have fun and be done.
oh, yeah, I get your
But it's a
point. Yeah.
different market from the US market. You see, US market, you have some people just dead there and them are up all the something and them the business, yeah. Oh, I just saw over this around.
Well,
But here's the
big brokerage houses, by the way, do also have certain accesses to certain companies. They're all in they're right now in Davos, Switzerland, right now. Every one of them meeting, and those company CEOs are over there. I would say to anybody to focus on the disadvantages you're coming into the market with,
Yeah.
regardless of where it is, should not be your focus. What you need to be focused on is this. If you believe that you're at a disadvantage with the market, then one, identify where you're at a disadvantage. That's the first part. Two, information is your main thing about anything that you do in the market. So henceforth, set your time horizons appropriately for when you want to do certain things. So for instance, come on, a very simple thing about the market in Jamaica is this. Let's put it this way. There's earnings season. Most people know so that, and this is whether you're close to the money or you're not. Most people are aware that, listen, somebody has already done the work. They might have looked on the most recent or the last one financial statement that came out. The company might have said something inside there, or they looked on the annual report, and in the management discussion, if they did a decent one, the company actually put out that, look, next year, February, we want X to be done. That person goes in, that person marks it. That person knows that most of the companies are going to be reporting for earnings season. Their financial year ends December 31st. Cool. That's their financial year ending. And they know that basically at the very least 60 days from there onward, they're supposed to put out a report. If they know that the financial year is going to end and they have been following the quarterlies, they see how the company has progressing. You don't have to be an insider to know that. It wasn't there. It's right there in the financial statement. You go in, you particularly decide, say, you know what? I believe that based on how this company is set up, they are going to perform pretty decently. You buy into the company just before the report comes out. Basically, then the report comes out. What did I say earlier? You buy the room and you sell the news. The news comes out. At that point in time, the company publishes their report. No, you might want to say that, oh, some people might have seen the report before that. No, I don't know that has happened. And unless you can prove that, then that's a different thing. That's hearsay.
And you know,
However,
you know people see the report before it come out sometimes.
however, when the report drop, right? When the report drop, you don't have to worry about the report. You know why? When the report drop, you are actually validating what you've already done, what you already expect about the report. So henceforth, I did say it already that our market, and you just said it, it's small. It normally takes some time to catch up. The report drops, and those who weren't doing due diligence that you were doing from since before because you have an interest in this company, now they rush in to buy. You've already entered. You looking to exit, and they looking to buy. How are you any different from the person who is at the brokerage house? You did your work just the same way with a set of information that was presented to everybody. It's just that you took an educated decision that following the trend, you believe that this was going to continue, and nothing happened to throw it off balance, and you made your win. and you get to exit with your profit upside of 50%, 100%, or in some crazy cases, as we've seen, 200%, 235, 500, and so forth, right? So I don't take the point that fully anything about the industry is, yes, people at all levels, retail, institutional, broker houses, etc., have access to information at different levels. But you know what separates, I'll say it this way only, you know what separates everybody at the end of the day? Time horizon. I believe that patience is something that most people don't have. So for instance, a trader does not have the level of patience that another in a medium term or a medium term investor has. They have a stop that they planning to get out. As soon as the thing hit 10%, they want out. So if it hit 10% tomorrow, they need to be out. A person with a longer time horizon can afford to take the same information that is being provided to everybody and take a decision just the same way. And they make more money too. It's just that they have to have the patience to make more money. I always break it down like this.
Yeah, but I agree with you when you also read up the financials. But moreover, I'm a proponent of reading financial statements, even more so than reading the newspapers. See, understand the annuals, follow the quarterlies, and you have to interpret financial statement. If you can't read the financial statement, you're at a disadvantage, a big one too. But let me say something to you. And this is what I tell about the Jamaica stock market. Me in our Telegram group, I'm see where the Telegram group posts the annual statement of a company, the quarterlies, before it touch the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
All right.
I shot when I see it. When I see it post, I go over the stock exchange, I'm look. It take about an hour before the stock exchange posts it.
So the truth
These
is
are some of the problems I tell about them. Something must happen.
Well, that's also another situation where I don't know how to explain that the best way, or should I say give, but I know that has happened, and here's how that happens. There are times when the company themselves has already put out the information either on their website. So, by the way, this happens a lot with respect to the Trinidad. So for cross-listed companies that are on the Trinidad Stock Exchange, sometimes their report comes out on the TTSE faster than it comes out on the FS and the JSE, right? And those are the instances where you might think to yourself, boy, you're at a disadvantage. The truth is, I have seen though, after a while, this is where education comes in. When we talk about things in the space, those who talk about that, one person that always tells you that information a lot in terms of he's always reminding you that you can't sometimes just look on the JSE and expect them to put the information out. It can come out sometimes on the company's website first. You know why? Because the company is already given the JSE the document. They are required to upload it to the thing there. They've already uploaded it, but maybe it needs to be something happen and it never get uploaded by the JSE. Exactly. It's a process and it never get done. If you know though that there are multiple ways or multiple areas that you can go to get the information, you should check. And that's what I respect a lot about David, that David will tell you, listen, I have seen where it come out here, so before it come out on the JSE, and that's fine. That's it.
But you know that problem can be solved because, all right, for the US market, they actually have dates when the reports are going to come out. You know that.
Exactly. Now, again, that comes back to structure. The US market is mature. It is a mature market. There are over 5,000 companies. I think it's 5,000. About 5,000 companies on the exchange. As a matter of fact, if you ever check the Indian market, their exchange is big as well, because I follow the Indian market as well too. And I mean, it's just about maturity. When you get bigger, you can't afford to have a kind of what would be seen as a lackadaisical approach, roughshod approach or slipshod approach to how things are reported. People are gonna get vexed, they're gonna lose their. So I can say, I guess the only way that it improves is we are the investors. We are the ones who need to be pressing, pushing back,
Yeah.
highlighting these things so that change can happen.
But until things change, I still believe money can be made in the market. So
No, but you don't have to
there's
believe
a
it.
thing
You
called
see it.
mosaic
It's there.
theory. You know, mosaic theory. Information can be gathered from different sources.
Sources, exactly.
And you put it together and you make one
You
plus
form a
one.
you form a picture. You form your picture,
Yeah.
your informed picture.
So until we get there to that stage, money can still be made in the Jamaican market. So
Let
the
me be clear.
market, some people always have the public what they call it, public non-information. I don't remember the exact term, but because the insiders of a company
Non-public
naturally
information
gonna get the
about.
information first. So sometimes they're gonna tell a friend, sometimes they're gonna talk it. But where it comes back to the market is, can FSC and those bodies investigate and find out where those breaches are being made? It comes back to all of that. So those things are gonna take time and take pressure, because if the Jamaica market is supposed to grow, we have to really get rid of some of these things. And I think it's in the benefit of all of us for these things to happen. So I think
So Lance, you know what? You see people like you and me will have YouTube channel if we're not constantly talk about them something here. Because at the end of the day, I think that's what my YouTube channel, a matter of fact, is just to expose them something else so people can change and do the right thing. But if we keep it hush, and that's how we can get the information over there. So, but you and your friend know that the public, the general public don't know that the Jamaica Stock Exchange need to do better than them not do what them supposed to do. So if me and you not talk about it, you think them are gonna change?
no.
Well, let's understand something as well too. I agree with you fully that if we don't speak on it, it won't change. And that is exactly why the movement of financial Twitter, JA, began. That's exactly why you have things that get kept like Stocks on the Rocks, Learn, Grow and Invest. You have Brick Talk every Friday evening. That's the reason why these things are happening, because when the information comes out, you're doing a service there, O'Neill, with respect to your channel. Lance is doing a service with respect to his channel, and everybody doing a service with respect to their channels, highlighting movements in the market, things that they see as deficiencies. Michael Lee said it best. You know, you look for a place, how you invest is normally where you find deficiencies, but you must also have a will to correct those deficiencies in some kind of way. That's how that's one of the ways of how, you know, you make a big return on investment. As long as we're talking on here, it's gonna happen. At some point, it's gonna happen, because guess what? If you keep hammering home that, listen, I don't get on the system, it don't work. It doing this, it failing me, this, that, and you feel slighted and so forth, and a big enough audience is captured, what happens is trust. Remember, so the Jamaica Stock Exchange is a company itself as well too, beholden to shareholders.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they also make their money from every single trade we make, whether it be retail or institutional, and also holding those securities. At the end of the day, they also have to listen to what is being said. If we as the shareholders go to the brokers, which brokers are the shareholders normally, the big shareholders of JSE, if they if their clientele is telling them, listen, we don't like how this is going, especially like look at it, short selling, you don't reach it, because you can't just introduce that and then it don't work. You remember, everybody would remember the first time JSE kicked over when they switched to the NASDAQ system. We had a big hiccup that day, right? Things weren't updating properly and so forth. But since that has happened, I think I can count the number of times that, and I will say it this way, it used to be said that the JSE is not responsive. I don't think that I have a presence on social media like that. Yeah, some people follow me, and I'm thankful for that. But the way how I see other persons have put themselves out, I'm not really one to speak on the financial space, because I don't really like doing it like that. I like to stay away from the individual stock talk and so forth like that. So for me, I like to teach about how you invest in terms of the methodologies and so forth. But I remember recently the GSE had an issue. One of the companies that I was looking to buy into wasn't updating the morning. And I sent them a message on Twitter. And normally, the first thing that we tend to do is blast the company on Twitter publicly. I decided to send them a side message, right? DM. I sent them a DM and I outlined, listen, this thing is not updating. And I said to them, I will reach you on the normal medium that you're supposed to with further information. I kid you not. I sent it. I sent them that message. They responded within like a couple of minutes. And then further afterward, they said, send it via the medium. I had already prepared the email and sent it to them, showing them the different purchases I was trying to make and where it was not updating. And they responded, got it fixed. I literally had to put out to my group. I was like, yo, a little small investment group. I was like, yo, they're getting more responsive. And I believe it's a far cry from where it's coming from, because I remember when people used to cuss that you could have talked to the GSE till you're blue about the system not working that day. And it was like nothing. Nobody knew about it. Nobody really looked like they cared. I have found them genuinely more responsive now. And that's simply because the market has started to mature and more people are having discussion. More so, social media exists and they're going to get highlighted. They're going to get tired and fed up and nobody wants that. So henceforth, again, I don't want to inject it that way, but you have seen it as well to where if certain people say certain things, because of who their following is or their reach, their viewership reach, automatically gets a response and so forth. But I say that to say, I don't believe I have any following like that. And when I sent it to them that day, I didn't put it out publicly. I literally just sent them a DM and I said, yo, your system's not working. And then I said, I'm going to send it to you via the channel that you're supposed to get it, where it's supposed to be confidential and private. And I sent them the information and they were very quick and responsive. Because the next thing was, in truth, I'd have done like everybody else. If you didn't respond and you were just like, they were just like, and 2 hours passed. Everybody knows what the trading hours are. It open at pre-open market is at 9 o'clock. And by 1, we're done. So if the system is not functioning, I lost the entire day to do what I wanted to do. You just made me miss out on buying a company at a price that I wanted to buy it at. And it's not assured that I can get it the next day at that price. It could be higher. So henceforth, I'm gonna blast you at that point in time. But I said that to say they were very responsive. So keep doing what you're doing because that's how change happens. And word of mouth apparently in Jamaica is more powerful than anything else. So henceforth, we keep talking about it. We keep highlighting it. We have this thing with back to the situation with the FSC. It gone abroad. News has traveled abroad and we bound to get some kind of change that is going to happen. So the same thing for the GSE. We need to just keep talking, and we need to share the information. You don't have to share what you own or what you're planning to buy or the stocks or stuff, but simple things of platform functionality, access to information, where you get it. And I see in the YouTube, I see persons referencing they're going to check again. The information is out there. You go online, the Jamaica Observer is there. Look on the business section. You go online, the Jamaica Gleaner is there, although they have a paywall and they tell you have to pay for it. I don't like that, but hey, that's their model, it's fine by me. Some things are not, but you can at least read a little bit of a headline. But you don't need to stick on them as alone. You have the Gleaner business, Observer business, Nationwide News, Business Suite Online. There's some Caribbean
RGR start, and then
there's RGR business news. So that's just the news alone. But that's not just that. You have the different platforms as well that I gave before. So you have the GSA app, you have the GSC Investor app, and the GSC Investor physical actual web page platform. You have My Money JA, you have the My Money JA app. I mean, there are multiple ways that you can find the information, right? And get it without just the GSC web. And then you have the final place where at some point in time, if they are late in doing it, it's gonna get there because it has to get there. They are the persons that are supposed to be the gatekeepers of companies that are listed, information. So you're gonna get there. I mean, the information is there. You just need to be dialed in, and it's all about patience and horizon, time horizon. That I say it all the time. 50% is 50%. Whether you invested 10 grand, 1 million, etc. The only difference is the amount of money. But a 50% investment is still a 50% investment. That's in terms of return on the investment. It's still 50%. So if you went in, you invested 10 grand and you got 50% back because of your time horizon and the work that you did, and somebody went in and they only got 20% based on the fact that they never do the work that you did and they didn't have the patience that you had, your reward is the patience that you had, you get 50, they get 20. It's only a difference of how much money was put in, basically, but the percentage return on investment is the same. And you should look on it that way. I challenge everybody all the time to just look on it that way. In that way, you'll not get caught up in this narrative of, or should I say, you'll focus on the true thing, which is you invest in Jamaica on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Market open at 9 o'clock. I did my work. I want a company. I only plan to pay $10 for the company, and I ain't buying it unless it's $10. When you go into the market, I understand how the platform works. By the way, if you don't understand how the platform works, there's information right there on the thing on how the platform works, and there's videos that have been done on YouTube on how the platform works from David Rose, he did it on Learn, Grow, Invest, etc., and so forth. You need to know how the platform works. You know how the platform works, you set your price. Bro, let me put it this way. I'll give somebody a good example. I'll give you a good example of this is now working with information in general. I ain't got no inside information, but I know I wanted a particular stock and I wasn't willing to pay X price. And I did my homework. And all I did was go on JTrader Pro and I set the amount that I want and I set the price. So I got some of it, but I didn't get all of it. And I'm still waiting. And it's a patience game because I know my time horizon of when I expect to start seeing a return. No, I have a decision. As it starts getting closer to my time horizon, am I willing to pay a little bit more? Am I willing to go back into JTrader Pro? Because you can do the same thing in JTrader Pro, or if it was TD Ameritrade, am I willing to go back into TD Ameritrade's platform and tweak that price? Do I have to raise it just a little bit more? Do I need to spend a little bit more? Those are the questions you ask yourself. That question is not anything about, somebody have a set of inside information. No, that question is just patience. I didn't get the amount that I wanted. And as a matter of fact, somebody said limited order. I can say something very important, in my opinion, is important for JTrader Pro. I recognize that, and this is recent I learned this, because I wasn't paying attention like that. I would go in and I would set the amount that I wanted. And I would see people picking off pieces of the particular stock that I want. I was like, I just don't give me the full amount that I want. You clearly want to sell it, so just give me the full amount. No, there's a way where the people trying to get interest in the market. So I understood the game. I was like, all right, there is a function that is inside of JTrader Pro that says, yo, either you give me all of it or you're not getting none. That has been a great method that I have been using to ensure that if somebody want my money, you need to give me all of the stock that I've been asking for my money. I don't want piece. I want the full. And sometimes I would take a piece, but if I want all of it, and if I want to look on the market to see what the market's temperature is for that particular company, I would just set an all or none for that particular company. And I know, say, if somebody really wants it, yeah, them want it, and they're gonna take it. I was already planning to buy it anyway, so I got what I wanted. But if I don't get it and the price goes up or the price goes down, I'm still saved because guess what? They needed to buy the entire amount from me one time, right? So that's a good safeguard. That's part of the JTrader Pro platform. You just need to know how it is. Everybody has access to that. Whether you're a broker, whether you're a retail investor, institutional, etc., as long as you're doing your own thing, everybody has access to that. So, I mean, it's about being informed. That's a term I used to love. I love using. You need to be informed because the information is out there. Sometimes it takes digging, and yes, it's frustrating, but
Yeah. So yeah, that was quite an explanation. So it's approaching 2 hours now.
Yeah, man, we've
We
been
don't touch on the market outlook or nothing like that. Anyway, what are your market outlooks for 2023?
well, since this was for the US market when you talked about it, you're asking me. I mean, I work from the global from what the global outlook is. So for instance, right now, 2023, you don't need to only pay attention to, but for me, I look on how the US market works. It's a service industry predominantly. And basically, right now, we know that they're going through an inflationary period. Well, we all are. But if you're focusing on the US market, the US Federal Reserve, right, FOMC, is basically looking to make sure that they manage inflation, they lock it down. So they've been raising their interest rates. When they raise the interest rates, what happens in the United States and in any country, you raise interest rates, you're extracting liquidity from the market. So right now, going into 2023, the thing I love about the US is this. You actually know, because they've said it, what they plan to do. So they plan to keep increasing interest rates until they rein in inflation they want it back to the 2% or whatever it was that it's supposed to be. They plan to increase interest rates until they suck that up. Henceforth, you see all of the different financial houses are already pricing in what's going to be the next interest rate hike that is going to come. As early as of today, it came across the desk. I did mention earlier in the session that most of the investment houses are in Davos right now in Switzerland. They're having their talks, and Jamie Dimon came online and he had spoken about the fact that he believes that another 5% is coming on, or he expects the interest rates to go up to 5%, right?
Okay.
You take your cue from there in terms of what you think might happen. So for right now, for the US markets, you have certain companies that I think in terms of the outlook, it's about money in people's pockets. If people don't have money to spend, the companies are going to suffer in that way. You see it already. Amazon laying off people, 10,000 people from there. So well, let's use the percentages, not the numbers. I like to use the percentages because it's not a big amount in their workforce. I saw a headline that says the only company that hasn't laid off people so far and everybody else is doing it is Apple. Cool. No, Apple went through a stock split. Apple is one of those companies that when you look at their products, for me personally, is a bespoke product. It's expensive as hell as far as I'm concerned, but just a phone, right? Kind of thing. But they have an ecosystem that people believe in, they buy in. I'm pretty sure some one of us own one of those products. So you're willing to pay the money. You know exactly how much you have to pay for an Apple product. And they know where it's going. So they haven't laid off people as yet, right? Whereas everybody else has started to lay off people. Cool. You can look on the outlook from there. So, but what is still going to drive, I think, the 2023 market is still tech. Tech is still going to be there. No, personally, I think based on where tech is, companies have seen severe depression of their prices. So you have Amazon, Microsoft, etc. But if those prices are too high for you, go looking for companies that are listed as well too, that supply them. I like to look for suppliers of these big companies, right? That are also publicly listed. You don't need to just look on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is basically only the top 100, and the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies, of which that is being propped up by the four biggest. Well, Meta is no longer big like that. They've lost a ton of money, so I think they should really remove Meta from being a part of the big talk like that. But you have the Facebook. It's Meta. You have Google, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, right? Netflix today. Netflix put out more. They've basically actually grown customer base. And if I remember correctly, I don't think Netflix has brought back on. Not that I don't think, I know they have not brought back on the Russian side subscriber base. They haven't given them back access as yet to. So they've grown, and Netflix has grown through the fact that they've now started doing ads in there. So you have an ad package People are willing to pay for the ads. It's one of the cheapest packages that they have. They have a lot of content they've been doing. And the CEO, here's a big thing. The CEO just recently handed over the reins to two other people that he was grooming. So now you have a CEO and a COO, well, a co-CEO basically is there. So now it's two people where one person was. I like stuff like that. You put two brains together. You know who runs the company, but you put two brains together. It's kind of like a check and balance that we just don't go off the hinges and you can find out. Look at Disney as well too. They weren't performing. The man then bring back out retirement Bob Iger, right? To come back in and run the company, and automatically he started to make different changes. So I still think tech is where it's going to be at, but there's other industries that you can look at. What they call, you have consumer staples. For me personally, with the United States, I think you can't go wrong with food. So for instance, anything that's doing food, you should watch them keenly. So companies like Walmart, Walmart is the biggest one. For me, if I'm going across the board, they're registered in the United States, but primarily their biggest places are in Latin America, Trinidad and Jamaica. PriceSmart, right? That's food. PriceSmart has just done pretty decent in terms of their performance as well too. Because guess what? In a high inflationary period, people cut back on spending on things that are wants, and they basically go to their needs. You can't stop buying food. You can stop buying TVs though. You can stop buying a new car. Henceforth, you see the car market, the housing market, all those stuff start going down basically. As an investor, you focus on, news helps with that. You focus on what the market is showing you. And you look at where the consumer's money is moving from and moving to, right? High inflation, people ain't buying cars anymore like that. They ain't buying TVs, they ain't buying stuff like that in terms of, they're focusing on core stuff. A, can I meet my mortgage? B, can I put food on the table? So like, see, things like gasoline, the gas prices have gone down drastically, right? I saw recently that I think the United States is now like big time in terms of providing natural gas to Europe. Everything is a cycle. So in terms of the world markets, in terms of the US markets and so forth, as an investor, you just dial into what is going on. So right now, focus is inflation, flat out. The focus is inflation. If you follow inflation, just follow the breadcrumbs to what inflation impacts. And then you can pick out your industry that you want to be in henceforth, you know?
Okay. Anything in the Jamaican market, any insight you want to mention?
For me personally, again, too, with respect to inflation in the Jamaican market, our inflation point to point just came in at 9.4%. The Bank of Jamaica has made it point blank clear that they want inflation back in a band between 4% and 6%. There is a graph on their site. If you check that, they expect by about September they should have inflation back between the band of 6 to 8% in terms of by September of this year, by the way, and they hope to have it managed by December. In the current situation with respect to everything going on, a lot of the companies on the main market have been depressed because of what is happening to the economy. Personally, for me, when I look on investing in Jamaica, I know that whatever happens overseas,
of that happening. So 1 second for me, hold on. Just checking, you still hearing me?
Yeah, we are hearing you clear at the loader.
Sorry, my other headset went down. But yeah, we're not immune from what is happening globally. It just takes time to make a point in time. I will say that what we should be looking on is basically look on right now food. I'm looking on food. There are companies, so somebody did mention it. I don't like to say it. I don't want to say that Separate is a good buy, but companies like Separate and so forth, the prices, you know, if you look on the prices now, the prices have been depressed, especially in the financial sector. The prices are depressed and so forth. if you were an investor that was looking at these companies a year ago, you might have been like, yo, this is expensive. But now the company has basically lost half of its market capital value because the stock price has dropped by half. You're not gonna take a chance if you believed in the company that it's favorable now to decide to go and buy it. I mean, that's how I look on it. So my thing is I will be focused on food. I will be going back to be focused on companies that have a very firm handle on their money. So now is the time where you need to be looking at a company that has a decent holding on cash. Companies that are taking on debt, you need to be cautious, not the word is cautious, of how they're taking that debt on and for what reason, right? Because if the company already had a lot of debt and they're taking on more debt, you need to be looking at how that is going to impact them down the line, how they're going to be able to pay that off and so forth. That's my look on it. So for the Jamaican market right about now, I say that in the news currently, it has been clearly stated that the main market is going to take a further beating in terms of depression, in terms of going down. What I say on the flip side of that is that there are a lot of companies that are on the main market that were not lucrative before, that their price to earnings and their book values and so forth, based on how it is, has really, really come down, and you should give them a look, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yo, I'm more excited when the prices are going down. So like,
Hold on, one second. I'm sorry. My speakers, I just want to make sure. Go again.
No, I'm saying that I'm excited to see some companies going down because I know they are good companies.
Of course.
And
I mean, that's the thing. If you love the company when it was going up, you should more than love it when it was going down, especially if you, and again, it comes back to patience and time horizons. So personally, the simplest thing is, if you are buying that company, say for instance, you wanted 100,000 units, in a particular company, and at the price, you could only afford to buy like 10,000 units a month. And now this particular economic cycle of inflation being up has depressed the price where now you can buy 20,000 units. Why would you not now take advantage of this rainfall that is happening here, and buy as much as possible? Because if you're convicted about what you're doing until you get to your goal of the units, you wanted 100,000, you could have only bought 10, you can now buy 20, keep buying, because now in a shorter time, you're going to end up with that 100,000 units faster. And then you can, if you decide you're going to stop and you don't want any more, that's fine. And you move on to something else. But I mean, the market at every point in time presents opportunities. You just need to be convicted enough to recognize that, listen, and especially when a company that you wanted, that you felt you weren't willing to pay a high market price for, comes to a point where you find it favorable, don't necessarily go, I wonder if we can go low. No. That's something I actually did as well too. No, just buy it because I try to stick to a methodology that says, if something I was looking on for months that I wasn't willing to pay for at X comes to the price that I was willing to pay for, and nothing hasn't changed other than it's still going on the same way with the company, buy it. I'm buying it. I'm taking a stake in it because, and the thing is, it can go down some more, but that's the thing of investing. Everybody needs to remember, stock don't go one way. It don't always go up. If you look on a chart, the general trajectory of a company's stock price, share price, can be up, but that's over the long term. If you zoom in, minutes, days, months, well, of course, you can't zoom in Jamaica Stock Exchange into minutes, but you can zoom in by the days, right, or the months. When you look on a yearly trajectory of how a stock particularly went up, you'll be like, yo, this stock is perfect. But no, when you drill down into a daily function, you see the thing went up all the way. That's the sentiment.
The stock market is not linear.
It's not exactly. It's not linear. Remembering that and working with your particular goal in terms of what you want to hold, what you were convicted to buy, supposed to direct how you enter or exit for the holding of a company. Notice I keep saying company because I like to treat what I buy by the term of I am actually buying into the stake of a company. It's not a stock for me. It's not just a stock or stock price for me. The fact that I read in financials, the fact that I need to know how the company generate revenue, how they're handling their expenses, who getting paid, when they getting paid, if the directors are buying, etc. That is me taking a vested interest in a holding of something, of a company that I have, right? That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that.
Yeah, as me for real in the lands, as him say, it's all about inflation. See, so it is where inflation is going. So as I know, inflation but a lot of company earnings and you see the stock price follow. Seeing locally we see where I know I'm not too pretty overseas market. It's too big for me, you get me? Opportunity there, man. I don't need to pre over there. You get me? And I'm more closely connected out here, so I know the culture. So I just work with it, you get me? So we see inflation has come down, but to me it not come down fast enough. So it's a sense of caution from the same way, you get me? So
Yeah.
but there I go and wait, we say BOJ the other day comes up, boom, and them stabilize the rate, them not move the rate any at all. It kind of sticky. I wonder what them are going to do in the next meeting, whether or not inflation really stubborn. You get me? Now, when I look on the stock exchange, let's see where a lot of companies, especially the financial sector, they are the ones that are being battered by inflation the most. So a lot of opportunities there in the financial sector, like no. You get me? Because the financial sector invests a lot in bonds, you know. As inflation go up and interest rate go up, bond price take a dive.
Normally, it tends to come down.
Yeah, so that let a lot of the financial sectors report were not as good as people were expecting. You see them sell off a lot of the stocks them. So one opportunity there over finance and outside of finance now, we have one or two companies where inflation beat them bad. So I really them there look on the one where the stock price fall off.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying we need to invest in defensive stocks and all these things. No, the only stocks we invest in are stocks that are undervalued. No matter where them there. As long as you're undervalued based on my projection and what me think you should have value, more that jump in.
There you go. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
So we say a lot of, as I said, the finance sector is really it. And a couple of other companies outside that was being impacted by inflation. But there I look on them too.
Okay.
But
Wait.
it's a point at which I jump in. I mean, I never really come out of the market because I have money in the market. I ride the stock. I'm not in or out of stocks. So my money go down with it. I don't have a problem with that because it don't come back up.
Same here. Same here.
I have some money on the sideline though. When I want go in. You get me? I'm there if I'm but when for going. I'm not to make up my mind when I want go in yet. But I'm going to jump in one of this day because I think the time is now.
Yeah. Good. Last thing I want to ask about. So, when you're in IPO now, what do you think about the whole? I think I see you post something about. I didn't get to watch it or so. What do you think about IPOs to the market?
What IPO is coming out?
Oh, the IPO market for this year. I think.
You have to listen to the broker them, you know, because of them really govern IPO. You hear a lot of them attack, say them will come out with a lot of companies over Mayberry side. From last year, I hear them say this year the IPO year. You get me? And then you see where a lot of companies are take on Mayberry as them broker. So yeah, we are looking for some IPO job from over Mayberry. And this is why I caution people about the news. Because the last time we do a morning headlines, because you know we do my morning headlines at morning time, like Friday and Wednesday. There was, at the ending of last year, there was this information in one of them news there, I think at the Gleaner. I said IPO got dropped before the New Year's. They did say that. And them have an entire story about it. And the company will go come out and all these things. And as a result of that, a lot of people are going to Apex. Because people are keep back their money to do the new IPO. I'll know the IPO that are drop with that. You get me?
Until the prospectus drop. I listen to the word amount. Until the prospectus drop.
I will jump in with this at that part and say this.
Well, I be your lads. Me not get to land say.
No, me I say, me just wait till the prospectus. Me
Oh,
never
you-
watch how much company I come out or what. Just prospectus. If a company I come out, they just post a prospectus and that's it for
And
me.
then I hate that. You're not too care about news or headline or whatever. All right, cool.
So that's one part for me, but I take a more standoffish approach to IPOs just on where we are now because everybody tries to jump into an IPO.
Jump out.
Money chases the thing, and you get some paltry 10,000 units.
Yeah.
I find that as foolishness. So personally, I have, and I'm gonna be honest, I normally go in post IPO because I know I'm not looking for 10,000 units. That's the first thing. But I know, again, I come back. I've been stating that my buzzword is patience. I have been able to pick up companies post IPO at like a 20% upside,
Still
right?
make a kill.
And I get the units that I want. And literally, I have them. Person decide they want exits. That's fine. Thank you. I take I'm willing to pay you 20%. That's no problem. Because the company has already made me 40, 50 or higher. And I know that when I bought the company, I didn't buy it because it was an IPO. I actually went through. You see what Lance said? I look on the prospectus and I look at the prospectus on everything, the financial side. And I look and I say, look, do I really want to participate in this? Because I know that first and foremost, I'm not trying to buy it at IPO. I'm not in that rush. I'm fed up with that. Secondly, if I'm going to be giving somebody a 20% upside, and that's my maximum, by the way. I'm not giving nobody any more than 20%. I give somebody a 20% upside, I better be sure why I'm buying the company. I better be convicted. I better be confident about why. And I've done it. And again, yeah, I think the markets, the next set of IPOs that are coming out, once the amount of units that are being put out are small, you ain't getting
Same thing.
like, why you gotta tie up a bag of money just to get basically the first 10,000 units. And then, I mean, truth be told, Image Plus's allocations,
Exactly.
were actually decent. A 35% allocation is pretty
You see
decent.
that one? You see that one?
No, I'm not talking. I'm just saying I found it very interesting to see there after the initial amount that was given, which is 10,000 units, you got 35% of what you wanted. Because technically, if I want 100,000 units, cool, and I get the first 10,000, then I get in 35% of the 90 that is left back. That's not bad, actually.
That wasn't bad, but
Right.
I think it's because of all the market. Well, as Oni was saying, some persons are waiting on other IPO. So that could possibly be that it was the last IPO.
Lance, they were still oversubscribed.
No, I know they're oversubscribed now, but they're not as oversubscribed as the previous IPOs.
And the thing about that is that should be the thing, because I agree that money is to be made money can be made anywhere. But I disagree that you stake your ability to invest on, if it's not an IPO, you can't invest. Because henceforth, it's not every day you're going to get an IPO. Not every year you're going to get an IPO. And also, it's not every year that you're going to be in a bull market. As I always say, you can't sound disrespectful. Anybody makes money in a bull market. Remember when Jesse was doing exceptionally well in that bull run that we had? You could have thrown, and this was the analogy I was given. You could literally put a blindfold around your eyes, put a set of companies on a board, and fling the dart off it, and basically buy the company, and you're goodly gonna get some kind of upside from it.
That's the market me love, though. I wish you could have come around every day.
Yeah, and money, I always say money, bear market or money can be made.
Money gets made anywhere, but personally, I love a bear market because of how my trajectory is. And I follow the method that profit is made in the purchase, not in the sale.
Let me ask you this, though. A lot of people are saying, money is made. Everybody can make money in a bull market, but if you make money in the down market, is there anybody that is making money in the down market in Jamaica?
course.
Though?
Yeah.
Given the facts that we not have enough instrument to profit on the downside.
Of course. I'll tell you this.
And who?
Persons have bought certain companies that I don't know who, but it's being done. And personal,
It would have been just like you're in a stock and you just hold on to your stock and you know come out and it just happened as, for instance, Frostwich. A lot of people are talking about Frostwich, this and big up enough money. But when we check it, I just say people who was already in Frostwich, you know, and the people who enter Frostwich, you know, really make money out of Frostwich. Because when Frostwich come to boom and announce a split, that's when a lot of people are trying to buy into companies. And you can't get not stock after the split is announced. Because
Action.
people simply now go sell them something.
I think
The
it's
same thing
re-
with Palace too.
No, a split allows for investors who would not have wanted to purchase at X price to now enter the market every time, and also allows for investors who wanted to exit can now take some profit. They don't have to sell all of it anymore. A split allows for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but yeah, man, so when I look at the figures, for instance, Palace, me look at Palace deep. Palace announced a split and everybody tried to buy his Palace. Guess what? Palace free up. Like Palace, the amount of shares that was being sold was like 22 for the first day. For the second day, 100 and odd. And I'm like, yo, nobody now get into this. And guess what?
hold on.
If after Palace move up to a 100 and say 18%, that's when the flood stocks really start sell. That's when a lot of people get in. They are not getting in when the split announced.
Truth is this, regardless of a stock split, the market needs to also work on another dynamic, which is you need to understand who is holding these shares. You also need to take a look at the volume that normally moves. So honestly, if the company for the whole year never moved 100,000 units on any given day, you can't genuinely expect that is gonna start just moving it like that. And at the end of the day, I normally like to look on the collection of who's at the top, like how the float, they call it the float, the share float.
Yeah.
If the share float is small to the general public, you can expect that it ain't going nowhere at the end of the day. Palace was always one of those companies that I always found the price was egregiously high for what it was. And it more convinced me when COVID happened to everybody, but specifically to them, that they had nothing else to stand on other than real estate, right? Once that thing locked down, that's it. It is real estate they only have. And now we're doing stock splits for Palace. I'm like, that don't entice me. What has the company done?
That's why I asked the question, who you think make money when nothing now go on?
Well,
Because
again,
Palace was one of those companies who had massive run up enough. So if you were in Palace, you could have said you make money. But who was really in Palace?
well, again, the holders of Palace would have been the ones already. So take it as it's not a short, but I mean, Palace dropped all the way down to what we got down to
$600.
600.
Yeah.
Right. We coming from a Palace that was all the way at
It was odd.
plus 1,200 easy.
Easily.
It lost more than half its share price. And had they not, well, I don't even want to say had they not announced the stock split, something had to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because it was no longer performing in any kind of way. As a matter of fact, I still don't think it's performing in any kind of way.
Palace borrow money just to stay afloat.
But then the key thing about a company is always this. If a company isn't generating revenue, you have to remember that if it's a company, not a financial thing, there's still assets. Those assets are worth something. So henceforth, if we are and we realize, let's make no mistake about it, the Jamaican landscape is changing. So henceforth, if it is that they decide to repurpose it, what are they selling? Those assets are in the real estate. It's in real estate. And real estate appreciates, right? And has been appreciating, at least in this country, that it continues to appreciate. So, I mean, it's just about how the company can turn it. There are so many different metrics you can look on. That is not just, share price, or not just, I should say, what the revenue the company is generating. Because a company can, come on now, let's go this. Simony, and I hate the company, but I can bring it up as thing there. So there is nothing fundamental about why Simony should have moved other than in the news, it was that, look, it could have basically had, it was trying to be sold to somebody. It was a medium for which a company that was not a part of the stock exchange can come into the stock exchange by taking them over. Cool. We saw the same thing with SSLVC. SSLVC stock price was in the toilet. And as soon as MFS decided, yo, they said they were going to buy it, stock price up.
But this is the point that I'm making, you know. I understand what I said, but it is news that is moving these stocks.
But what did we
But
say?
guess what? Guess what? The news is market information, and by it come out in the market, the trading is so small, nobody really now get in. That's what I'm saying. It's just who was in it already, right? The wave come up. But people that are trying to get in these stocks really can't get in after the news.
I'm gonna say it this way, O'Neill. As a person who, well, as I have been doing technical analysis a lot, I go back to the situation of return on investment, and 10% is 10%. There is, for those traders, traders decide to pick a 10% upside.
True.
Look for signals that show that they should enter for their entry. No, the simple thing is this. Let's use Palace. There wasn't an entry for $600 when the stock split was done. It started fly up, but there was an entry that started to come up at 1,000. If more shares came up and they decided, listen, if I could buy X amount of volume at the 1,000 and it would have given me a 20% upside, that's all they want. So they got their indicator that allowed them to step in. So in my view, you look on it from that perspective that is really not about, oh, was the float available? Is that who was trying to go after what? If a person is a trader and them just trying to make a quick turnaround of a 20% upside, and they say they can make 20% off of 100,000 shares at $10 a share, right? You take it. That's where
I agree with you, because as I understand where O'Neill is coming from. The first investors that jumped in, they didn't get the 600. They might got in at 900 or 1,000, and they might, and if Palace went up to 200,
whatever price it is now, because it was still going up. So as soon as they hit their 20% return on investment, they're gone. So
it's all about strategy and time horizon. But it is all about that. I mean, I don't really. I mean, to me, it's sometimes difficult to even get in at the right price you would want. So I don't really follow this strategy, to be honest. I'll do more like a swing trade. Like sometimes I can do a 6 months or a 3 months out, in and out, and then have a long-term strategy. But
that can work too.
I mean, for everybody, they have their own strategy. So
everybody must, and that's the thing. You must have a strategy, because if you do not have a strategy, you're being led by somebody else's strategy, which means you're just driftwood, and that's definitely where you don't want to be. You do not want to be just being tossed and turned, because then you're gonna lose money. Clearly, you're gonna lose. If you were losing money before, you're definitively gonna lose money if you have no strategy. Flat out.
Yeah, the problem with me still, as Valansa said, is that me, because you talk about make money. You get me? I say, I don't the small thing there. I want to make something bigger now. You get me? So maybe that's my problem for certain.
Money takes sense to here.
Different things for different reasons. Some people good with them 5% and them 10% on a small amount, just like what you said, Medan. You say you not got bother do the IPO them again because you can't get nothing in it. Regency, me love Regency so much. I know I'm never going to the IPO. And I'm one of the best companies to come out for this long time. You get me? But when you look, I know I'm not going to get anything out of it. Somebody just leave the IPO. I said, Jano.
Yeah, go after it on the open market. So simple.
Yeah, just me. So I guess people, as I said, people meet them goal. But I try to get rich. You get me? I make some big play. That's not my
That's
one.
what we all doing.
Yeah.
As they say, you have to creep before you creep and crawl before you walk. So Patience and time. That's really it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it was a good talk. I mean, we have been talking for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Respect to O'Neil passing through blue collar, otherwise known blue collar finance.
Yeah, blue collar finance, the thing, the one. For real.
Yeah. And Chike, thanks much for passing through.
Anytime.
So, yeah, man. So I didn't see any question today. So we can call it for today. So guys, you can check out our channels and look forward to upcoming videos. Specifically, I think I'm going to do some videos on finding information on the market and all these little wrinkles that I think we can get some topics out of.
Yep.
So, yeah, man. So until then, stay safe. All right.
All right. All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah. All right.